Somebody had a question, Sister Karen. Will United States savings bonds and retirement accounts be worth anything after the crash? We might have
That
talked about it a little bit. Go ahead.
that's a good question. We can only speculate.
Mhm.
But what I would say is that if I am to take a guess, they will be worth something, but they won't be worth whatever the current numbers are right now. Right. So
Mhm.
your retirement accounts, especially if you don't know what your retirement accounts are attached to, what stocks, what bonds they're attached to, then there will be a lot of people that lose all of their savings because they don't know where they're tied to and they don't know the value of those companies. And if those companies uh, value goes to zero, their stocks go to zero, then you will lose all of
Mhm.
your investment if you're only invested in that.
Thank you. We're going over just a little bit over 2 hours, but Mr. Lattimore will probably break this video up for us and make it in like little segments so that you can see the video over time throughout the weekend while we're possibly in the house during the government shutdown. Somebody wants to know if you can mention a little bit about farmland. Hello, sister. Is that Sister Emariel? Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, farmland
Can you
is important. We need farmers. Right? We have to eat something.
talk?
And there's land is always for sale. Right? You can always buy land in this country, and uh, so yeah, we need to have farmers. We need people investing in farmland and investing in the farming industry because that is a skill, a trade that will not go anywhere for as long as people are still on this planet.
Absolutely. I went to the farmer's market the other day and was talking to a sister who she has a farm, and she was saying that the United States has made a lot of enemies in the world. And then we say, invite me to your table to eat. I was like, oh my God. She said, it makes no sense to make enemies and then ask them to produce your food.
It's insane. It's insane. And then that's when you have situations where uh, they say China, the ramen noodles that we get from China is plastic. A lot of the foods are plastic that we're eating. Well, if you rely, again, as you said, if you rely on your enemies or your adversaries to produce the food, you might find that you're eating poison. And so,
Rice too. Rice too. They
yeah,
say rice.
yeah.
Rice is plastic. Some of the rice we've had in our country.
Mhm. Yeah, so yes, reiterating the fact we need farming in our countries, in our country, in our communities. We need local farmers, right? Because otherwise, we don't know what we're eating. And anybody can tell you anything, but if you don't know where your food is being grown, that's a problem. And we in general don't know where our food comes from. They might put a sticker on your food at Kroger or at Publix and say that it comes from Nicaragua or from Mexico or whatever. But
Peru. Yeah.
right, most of these countries, none of our people have been there. So we don't
Mm.
know what's going on in those countries. We don't know how it's getting sent here. There's a lot of unknowns. And it's better to know where your food comes from so that you can be a bit more reassured that it is actually food and that it is, in fact, healthy for you. The
Speaking of
last,
food, go ahead.
you look at even here in America, the foods that we produce in America, like the apples, they spray the apples to give a polished look, right? Uh,
Yeah.
the purchasing in America is more about advertisement than it is about health. So they want to give a good image for the product, but they don't mind giving you poison food that has a good image that is also bad for your health. So we absolutely need, it's essential for us to get local farmers who are producing the food for the local communities.
Speaking of local farmers, I had a special guest on my show a couple times on in a private. She started off in my private group, and now he has come out to speak to everybody, the whole Soul Tribe. Chef Yosef. He talks about the importance of farms and also farmers markets. He opened my eyes, and he will even show you the farmer markets in your area. If you are interested in learning more about heirloom seeds, how to eat fresh, which farmers markets are in your area, how to create a menu that's good for your palate, good for your bloodline, or just any, you might have nutritional or dietary needs, then I would encourage you to join this group. We're a part of a group called, he has a school link, is school.com/plant powered pantry society, but he'll be on our show on tomorrow, Saturday. I think it's about 1 o'clock. Let me show you what that video looks like. He's going to talk about seeds, farming, farmland, farmers markets. Let me see if I can show you that, because on here on the Dr. Kia Pruitt show, it is our desire to make sure everybody is highly self-actualized. That's something that our guest talked about yesterday, Coach Bay, when he was talking about the relationship between fitness and finance. We want you to be highly self-actualized. That means maximize your potential spiritually, emotionally, financially, and physically. So because of that, we're going to have a special guest, Chef Yosef, to talk about eating healthy on tomorrow. Again, I think I said, yes, it's at 1 o'clock. This is what that looks like. It's called Health is Wealth. And he's going to talk about a Health is Wealth challenge. Some things, the challenge for the year of us eating healthy. He's going to teach us how to eat healthy. He's going to show us what foods are good for us. So I would encourage you all to join that show tomorrow. Mr. Lattimore, can you, before we end, talk about family living? Because now I'm starting to research family compounds. Somebody mentioned land, how people, multi-generational land and real estate. Why is that something we might consider as we move into this era of self-sustainability? Family living, family compounds, multi-generational living.
Yeah. Well, because you can pull your wealth, you can pull your finances together as a family, and that's a good strategy to be able to move faster than you would as an individual. America has been an individualistic society, and as we have gotten to the present state that we're in, we've come to realize that being individualistic is actually unsustainable and comes at a very high cost. So then if it's very difficult, if it is difficult, and it is in fact difficult to be individualistic, then we need to look into other strategies. And we look at other communities who are in this country, they pull their wealth and their finances together, and they're able to accumulate wealth at a faster pace than we are, the Americans, because we're individualistic. And so compound living, family living, all of these things are important strategies that we can use to advance ourselves and our families and create generational wealth.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for that. You talked about us being individualistic. You talked about us, liking to have a lot of fun. We've been consumers. Now we're going to have to change our mindset, because the government's not going to save us. The government's shutting down. It may never reopen. Right.
And even if it does, it's going to, the possibility is that we reopen the government at half the capacity that it's at. All right.
Okay.
Half of the finances that it's at. So a lot of the spending that we're used to that the government does, the Medicare, the welfare, Social Security, we cannot afford those things. Those are our expenses that we cannot afford. And we have
Section 8 housing funding that was going to shelters, domestic violence shelters. People are going online complaining, but they don't understand and understand. It was never the government's job to take care of the people. That's your family's job. That's the tribe's job. That's the community's job. And I yield.
And that it shows the amount of insanity that we thought that that was normal. We
Mhm.
became accustomed to it. It became our reality. But when you look at every other country in the world, most countries do not do those things. So when you're an empire, you can afford entitlement programs.
Okay.
But when you have to have a balanced budget, which is where we are today, you have to cut expenses. And all of the frivolous spending that we were doing, oh, we can just write checks to everybody. You need some extra money, we got you. As the government, you need something, we got you. We're going to take care of our old. We're going to take care of our women. We're going to take care of everything. That's nice in the perfect setting. But it's not possible when you're $38 trillion in debt as a government.
Absolutely. So we're going to have to do our job. We're going to have to educate our own children. Imagine that. Imagine us educating our own children.
I don't
Imagine
think people
us.
can.
Go ahead.
I don't think people can imagine it because they've been so comfortable sending their children to school, right? You send your kids to school, they spend 7, 8 hours at the school, plus commute.
Mm,
So your children really only spend 3, 4 hours of waking time with the parents. Generally, the parents put them on the TV or in front of a screen and let the screen raise the children.
mm,
And the majority of the time that the children are at home, they're asleep.
mm.
Things are about to change fast and dramatically.
Imagine having to feed yourself.
Mm.
Imagine having to grow your own food instead of depending on your enemy that despises you, whether it comes from another country or the food is shipped from another country. That's where we're going to. We're going to have to produce our own food. This is why we said earlier we need to make friends with or build relationships with local merchants, like not just your local coin dealer, but your local farmer.
Mhm.
Imagine having to cure yourself with herbs. Now we have become so insane with the programming that mainstream media won't even allow you to use the word cure. You can't say this herb will cure you. You can say it will address certain ailments. That's
Mhm.
wild.
Well, because it crashes their medical system,
I
right?
see.
How much money do you need for those cures to pay
Mm,
versus how
mm,
much will that surgery cost? That's not
ah,
going to cure you, right? So everything is tied into each other, and the system is very fragile.
very
One
fragile.
small thing can collapse everything.
Mm. Absolutely. I'm just bringing up the Meta Center Chicago for those of you that desire to buy certain things like herbs, seeds, heirloom seeds, real seeds. Those of you might be interested in certain type of healing technologies. The Meta Center Chicago, with whom we had an affiliation, but it's been about a year since I've had Dr. Tony Vortex on the show. Look for places to buy heirloom seeds, real seeds that still have the nourishment and nutrition in them because we're going to have to feed ourselves. Imagine it having to have your own bank. And my grandchildren, I said this to you, Mr. Lattimore, the last time we were on the show. Your niece and nephew, my grandchildren, asked me, "Why are you putting your money in a bank? Do you know these people?" I was like, "No, I met them, but I like, do you go to their house to eat dinner? I've never seen them at the house. Why are you?" There's like, so you don't know these people, and yet you're putting your money in a bank for what reason, Granny? You taught us about silver and gold and having your own banks, but you're putting money. And I had to try to explain this.
Hmm.
I
Well,
was,
when a lot of these banks crash,
mm,
we'll change our mentality on having money stored in banks because
mm,
any bank that crashes, they are not going to release any of your money that's in those accounts. They're going to crash with your money inside of them. And it's funny, like people have safety deposits.
mm-hmm.
Well, if you're storing your gold and your silver in the bank's safe deposits, if anything happens, if that bank collapses, you might not get all of they have insurance, so they'll cover
Okay.
you up to a certain amount. And that's being optimistic about it. But even so, it's not going to be 100% of what you had in there.
Mm. Thank you, Mr. Lattimore. I just want to say, give a shout out to J. Cole, who just sent me a Cash App gift. He said, great show, sis. Thank you, J. Cole. I also want to thank John Griffin, who said, this is simple support for gratitude. Thank you so much for the gift. You all are amazing. Sister Vanessa says gratitude. Sister Linda says manifesting abundance. Much love and appreciation to you. I love this exchange of energy. We give information, we give love, we give of our time, and people exchange their energy by being here for us, sharing comments in the comment section, and also giving us a contribution. So I'm very grateful. Thank you, Mr. Lattimore. This has been amazing.